All right,
Awesome.
you can go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much for the introduction. So today we're going to talk about how to reduce your waste to the minimum in only 5 steps. So let me introduce myself. So as Alia said, my name is Laure. I grew up in France and currently I'm located in India. And I work for a social enterprise which is called Ecofem in Oroville. We make menstrual cloth pads and I'm in charge of communications. So that's what I do one part of the week. And the other part of the week, I give talks about sustainability and particularly about waste reduction. And I also provide services of coaching to help people to do their transition towards a more sustainable lifestyle with less waste. So I have been living a nearly zero waste lifestyle for 5 years plus. And before that, I have been in a transition towards that lifestyle for 2 years. So I'll tell you more about it later, but first of all, I wanted to mention this. So what we're going to talk about today. First of all, we're gonna understand why it is important to reduce our waste. Then I will explain what are the 5 principles of the zero waste philosophy. Then I will explain a little bit of my personal experience and I will tell you how I got started and how I deal with waste on a daily basis. And then I will give you some tips how you guys can get started. And finally, there will be a little surprise for you guys, so make sure that you stay till the end, and we'll finish with a question and answer session. All right, so what's the point? What's the most important reason why we want to reduce our waste? Obviously, is pollution. There's 2 scenarios according to where we're located in the world. If we are located in countries like India, for instance, there is in most cities and towns, there's no proper waste management system like in the Western countries. So there is plastic waste and waste just laying around a lot in nature. Or there is huge dump sites, which you can see just here. I don't know if you can see my mouse or if I have to use a pointer. Alia, can you just...
We can see your mouse, yeah.
You can see my mouse, okay, awesome. So you see here, this is a huge pile of waste in Delhi, actually. So waste just piles up because they don't know what to do with it and because it's not properly managed. So this is the first scenario in countries like in India and some countries in Asia, in Africa, etc. Scenario number 2 is in countries like Europe, Australia, US. There we have 2 options. Either we have scientific landfills or we have incinerators. Scientific landfills is pretty much it's a hole where there's a big membrane in plastic. There we put a lot of waste, we make layers. They eventually also put some pebbles and other things, to make nice layers. And then the day it is full, they just close it and move to the next one. So actually, some pollution will happen anyways. With incinerators, it's the same scenario because the amount of toxins which are getting released are minimized but not completely erased. So there is going to be pollution anyways. Plus, there is ashes actually, and the ashes are they're toxic. Again, the toxicity is reduced, but it is not non-existent or erased. So again, there is pollution happening in the water, in the air, in the soil, and utterly, of course, inside us, humans, in both scenarios. So this is reason number 1 to reduce our waste. Reason number 2 to reduce our waste is that there's less and less natural resources available to us as the population in the world is growing. And as the resources are declining, natural resources are, for instance, wood, glass, metal, etc. So as they are declining, we want to value them till the end and as much as we want. So that's reason number 2, to reduce our waste. So the idea is to become actually responsible and not wait for companies or for governments to do it instead of us. So what I'm going to talk about today is an action on an individual level, not on a collective level, but on an individual level. So before I read this nice definition of zero waste, I would like to ask you guys, what is to you zero waste? What could it mean? Let's find out together what it means. So you can unmute yourself, and if you want, switch on your camera and tell me what's your interpretation of zero waste.
Don't forget to use the chat function to be able to share your thoughts on this.
I mean, you can use the chat or you can just speak. It's fine. Both are fine. It's a mindset. You're saying, Alia? That's a good one. You don't waste at all. Yeah. Any other ideas what zero waste is? Reuse, very good one. Any other ideas? Being mindful of what you consume to limit wastage. Very good. Circular economy. My daughter is saying recycle and reuse. Very good one. Okay, great. So these are all very good responses. So let me show you what is the definition according to the International Zero Waste Alliance. So I'll just read it for you because it's a very complete definition. So zero waste is pretty much the conservation of all resources by means of responsible production, consumption, reuse, and recovery of products, packaging, and materials without burning, and with no discharges to land, water, or air that threatens the environment or human health. So this is pretty much what zero waste is all about. Now I would like to share with you how I personally started. I started 7 years ago, and as I told you, it took me 2 years to drastically reduce my waste to a nearly zero waste lifestyle. First of all, I was looking for a deodorant without aluminum. I did that because I had heard that aluminum is quite dangerous for health. I mean, that is not great. Also, I was thinking to myself, as I put aluminum every day then under my armpits, and it's close to the breast, and then I heard so many stories about breast cancer and so on. So I was not trusting aluminum anymore. So I wanted to find an alternative. So I got actually quite disappointed because in the supermarkets, I actually could barely find any brand without aluminum. And that's also, at the same time, I heard about endocrine disruptors. Endocrine disruptors are present in so many of our daily life products, like cleaning products, personal care products, etc. Like many products that we use every day have endocrine disruptors. So let me tell you what it is. It is pretty much chemicals which disrupt our endocrine system. Our endocrine system is our hormonal system, which, for instance, regulates sleep, which regulates hunger, and of course, it regulates fertility, and so on. And these chemicals, they can alter the proper functioning of these hormonal systems. So this is how I got interested in finding a natural way of like a natural deodorant, and I found a very easy recipe, which is pretty much coconut oil and baking soda mixed together, and that's a wonderful deodorant. Like, meanwhile, I've been using it in very harsh conditions for 7 years, and it works wonders, and it's package free. It's mostly organic because my oil is organic, and it's extremely cheap and good for health. So it's a full win for me. And from there, I started to question myself. So about packaged products, the chemicals and the preservatives, etc., additives that they put inside, is it really good for me? So, and then I started to think, like, what do they do at the end of the day with all these packaging and these waste and the bins, which I thought were so well managed so far? And that's how I started to mind my waste and reduce step by step, using first reusable bottles. Then I also started to use a menstrual cup because I have my periods, of course, every month. So if I go for a reusable alternative, well, it will have an impact. And it's like that with anything. As you repetitively consuming something which you throw away, if you replace it by something which is sustainable, it will automatically have a significant impact. So this is the logic which I started to apply. And then I also started to go to the local market using cloth bags instead of getting plastic bags. And I would also switch to soap bars instead of shampoo bottles. So this is how I actually got started. And the day I really made the decision and a big switch to a nearly zero waste lifestyle is the day I came to live in Oroville in India, because I visited EcoService, which is the waste management service in Oroville. And they explained us that whatever is non-recyclable, it will end up in a pit. So we acquire land to put all that waste in this pit, and once it's full, we just move to another land. So first of all, like anywhere in the world, the land is getting expensive in India. And also there is no protection between the waste and the soil. So I just couldn't get in my mind that I was now aware and conscious that my non-recyclables will just end in this pit, and I would be aware that my waste is going to pollute. And I didn't want to be part of that. I really wanted to be part of the solution. So that's how I got to know about zero waste, and I started to document, read about it, etc., watch videos, and start to understand how it all works. So that's why today I'm going to explain you how to reduce your waste in 5 steps, which are pretty much the 5 steps to for zero waste, to get zero waste at the end of the day. So first of all, I want to say that zero waste is it's a philosophy. Also, it's an aspiration. It's not necessarily a goal in itself. If we're not ready to go zero waste, it's absolutely not an issue. It's just a philosophy. It's something that we can apply, but we don't have to go like hardcore into it or extreme. It's up to you, first of all. Second, gradually, once you start to change more and more and more things, start to be more conscious and more conscious about your impact on the planet and how your zero waste lifestyle is beneficial for you also. And so that's how gradually you can move towards eventually a zero waste lifestyle, but it's not absolutely a must. It's more like a vision rather than a reality. But I find the 5 principles very inspiring to apply and very effective, most of all, when you apply them to your daily life. So let's go through them. So the 5 principles are: first, refuse, then reduce, reuse, recycle, and rot. So let's go into detail to understand what it all means. So first, we want to refuse anything that we don't need and what we don't want, because very often we get a lot of plastic in our hands, which we didn't even want, and suddenly it's there. So the first step is to refuse all that waste, all that plastic, and all that single use. Also, because, at the same time, it educates the people that you interact with, the sellers, the shopkeepers, eventually also the supermarkets. Eventually it's going to plant a seed in their head. Oh, this woman and so many more also don't want this plastic, so let me not give it anymore. Actually, I know a shopkeeper here recently who did that because so many people from Oroville told them, I don't want this plastic, I don't want this plastic, can we do something? Do you have an alternative? And like that, they made the switch. So don't underestimate the impact of saying no to plastic. It can really make a change, just in general. And also think how long you will have used single-use items. Now, I would like to ask you a question. How long do you think that we use, what is the average time of use for a single-use plastic bag? Again, you can just say it in the chat or you can just unmute. So how many minutes? Not how many times, how many minutes, sorry. How many minutes do we use on an average a plastic bag? 2 minutes? Any other guesses? 30 minutes, not bad. 10 minutes, close. 1 year. That's if it's reused though. All right, so actually it's 12 minutes. So in an average, we use a plastic bag for 12 minutes, whereas it takes 1,000 years to degrade. Knowing that once it will have degraded, it doesn't mean that it's gone. It will have degraded into microparticles, nanoparticles, which will end up in the soil, in the water, in our fishes, etc., which might come back into our bodies. So this means that whatever we give to nature, we're going to get it back. So that's also something very important to keep in mind. Again, to our principle to refuse, to finish, we also want, of course, to refuse anything that's non-recyclable. So here I give a few examples like takeaway containers, chips or biscuit packets, because they're made of multi-layered plastic. So these packagings are not recyclable because they have different materials together. The non-recyclability of your waste depends also of where you live. So that's to be, checked. All right, so then we move on to the next principle, which is to reduce. So first we refuse, then we reduce. So we reduce what we need and what we have, because anything that we have actually can end up into, will end up actually in waste. It will become waste. A second thing is that anything that we throw away, it's also money. So if you throw away something, actually you throw away your money. So this is also a principle to keep in mind. And so as we want to reduce what we have, we want also to declutter, which means that anything that we don't use, because actually there's a lot in our houses that we have and we don't use, well, we want to get rid of it. Obviously, we don't want to put it in the bin. We want to give it or sell it to have less, because also the positive side of having less is that we also have less worries, less to clean, less to tidy, etc. So that's for reducing. And last thing, also we want to reduce the plastics and the non-recyclables, of course. So after reducing, we want to reuse. So which has also been mentioned in the chat box. So we want to reuse what we already have. For instance, food jars that you can reuse them for stocking food. For instance, like this jar, which was I don't know, it was compost before. Now I use it to store pasta. Or you can also reuse cloth bags. You can also reuse your clothes, which is very important about clothes. Here we will talk about secondhand clothes. So fashion and the clothing industry is the second most polluting industry in the world. So it's good to reuse clothes and go for secondhand, because they will use less natural resources actually. Knowing that, for instance, jeans to be produced consume 12,000 liters of water. So that's only the water consumption. Imagine how many showers that is in for one human being. And so that's only the water consumption. Then there's also like all the dyes used, all the traveling, maybe say from India for the cotton, then to Turkey to do the stitching, then to Europe, for instance, or Singapore for selling. So it travels a lot. And that's why if you use secondhand clothes, you will have less impact in terms of carbon footprint and in terms of pollution. So again, you don't have to use only secondhand, but you could integrate it into your lifestyle. So we want to repurpose and also upcycle anything that can have a second life. So upcycling means that you give value again to something that was considered as waste. For instance, a glass jar that you upcycle into a vase. Or just here, you see this cushion. This is my cushion, which was originally PVC waste and which has been stitched into a cushion in which you can put any kind of soft waste or plastic to, you know, do something with your non-recyclables. So I use actually this cushion to put all, you know, my soft plastic. What else I put there? Like my, you know, the plastic packaging of medicine and so on. So before you have to clean it and then you put it there. But this is an example of upcycling. But we don't actually necessarily need to own everything. We can also actually rent. For instance, we can rent a cycle. We can also borrow from friends, family. Now also there's more and more websites where we can borrow. Like for instance, if you go to a very nice party, like a cocktail, and you want to have or use a very nice dress, wear a very nice dress. So instead of buying one, you could borrow it from a friend, from your sister, family, or you could also borrow it online. Other possibilities is also to exchange. For instance, a few years ago, I exchanged my moped for a bicycle, and you can also repair. Here you have a small example. This is my Longchamp, my bag. It's a big bag from Longchamp. It's a traveling bag. And you see this layer here with colors used to be in plastic. And instead of throwing away the bag, I got a new lining put inside in a thick fabric. So now I think I will be able to use it at least for another 10 years, knowing that I have had it already for 10 years. So you see the intention here is to increase the time span of the stuff that you have, pretty much the life of whatever you have. Here is also a little example of repurposing. This was a little jar with jam, and it became my deodorant. So after refusing, reducing, reusing, we want to recycle. So recycling, we want to do it as much as possible, but we have to be conscious that it is not the best option. Why not? Because it's very energy consuming. Because, for instance, not everything is recyclable. And so here, actually, I would like to ask you a question. What is the melting point of glass? Because, for instance, when we want to recycle glass, we have to break it, melt it, and make it into exactly the same glass jar again. That's recycling. So what is the degrees for the melting point of glass? What do you think it is? You can tell me again in the chat box. 500 degrees, 200 degrees, good guess, 200, 1,500, you're close. So yeah, so actually it's between 1,400 degrees and 1,600 degrees. That's the melting point for glass. So it's a lot of degrees, right? It's very hot. Imagine all the energy that you need for that. And of course, making energy also has an impact in terms of carbon footprint and is energy consuming and generates waste also. So that's why we want to, for instance, for a glass jar, we would rather reuse it rather than get it recycled. So glass is recyclable forever. Metal, aluminum is recyclable forever. But for instance, plastic is not recyclable forever because so plastic is made of polymers, and these polymers are like chains, and as they get recycled, they break. So you need more virgin material, virgin plastic actually, to recycle it properly. So yeah, this is all to keep in mind, and I think that's it for recycling. So we covered the fourth principle of the zero waste lifestyle. So first we refuse, reduce, reuse, recycle, and the last one is to rot. So rotting means to compost. Pretty much what we want to do is that we want to give back to earth what comes from the earth. So it means that in our daily life, we want to use as much as possible natural materials. Here I gave you a few examples. This is my yoga mat made of cork. So the day it's going to be gone, I will be able to cut it in small pieces and put it in the compost, which will make what they call actually, I have one with me just here, and then you can use it like that. You can use it for your skin, but you can also use it for the dishes. So yeah, to conclude, I would encourage you to buy and use compostable materials also as much as possible. Everybody can still hear me properly?
Yes, Laure, we can hear you.
Okay, fine. Because I got a message, my connection is unstable, so just checking. Thank you. All right, so let's now move on to like how my low waste lifestyle looks like on a daily basis. So I'll show you a few of my essentials that I use. So we'll start with the bathroom. So in the morning, of course, I take a shower and I use soap bars. This is for my hair, this is for my body. So here there is no plastic. I use the loofah as a sponge to brush my teeth. I use a toothbrush with a removable head. This is removable. So this I have been using for many years, and the head I change it maybe once a year. So that also reduces plastic. And then I use this toothpaste. I mean, it's actually tooth powder. I don't know if you will be able to see, but it's tooth powder. So this comes actually in a glass jar, but I transferred it in this because this is lighter to travel. Then there is my little deodorant, which I have showed you with half baking soda and half coconut oil. I'll just show you inside. And then I use also mascara, which I make myself. So this mascara is made with only 4 ingredients. I make it only once a year, so it's not much of a hassle, and there's absolutely no chemicals in it. Then I go to the office and I use my phone, which is secondhand, and I use my computer, which is also secondhand, but which I can't show you because I'm giving the presentation on it. I use my secondhand earphones, and then to write, I use only scrap paper. And I use this pen, which is made essentially of paper. Inside, of course, there is still plastic, but at least there is less plastic. And I also use this little pencil as a highlighter. So that's when I go to work. After work, I would go for shopping, and I take my reusable shopping bags. And so what I do is that either on my phone, in my mind, or on a piece of paper, I make a list of all the things that I would like to buy. And then I take cloth bags or boxes with me according to what I would like to buy. I take usually bags from different sizes. So this one is a little smaller. This one is, for instance, a little bigger. And then I just buy package-free in a package-free shop which is close to where I live. But so in this shop, I can't buy everything package-free. So what I do is there's two methods. Either when I go, for instance, meet a friend or do a meeting for work, etc., and that I come close to a place where I know that they have package-free items that I need, I would take my bags or my boxes and buy that stuff at the same time. I mean, while I go there. So I won't go necessarily just for that and come back. I wouldn't make a trip, but especially for that. I try to optimize my trips pretty much. And yeah, that's pretty much how I do it. Or if I need a few things, I could go, like, for instance, on a Saturday morning, take all my boxes and my bags and do a round, and go to all the shops which are not too far from each other, and just buy everything package free at the same time. So I do just one trip. So after shopping, I come home and I put my stuff in glass jars. Essentially, I rarely use any glass jars which I have actually bought. First of all, because I find the glass jars which are bought in the store expensive. Sorry, I was just checking the chat box.
Actually, Laure, a lot of people are interested in your mascara ingredients.
Okay. Okay, let me tell you the ingredients. So the mascara, it's only 4 ingredients. It is coconut oil, aloe vera gel, either charcoal or black pigment. And the last ingredient is wax. So you can use beeswax or any other kind of wax if you are vegan. So it's just these 4 ingredients together. I had just, checked on YouTube, and this one came first. At the end of the talk, I will give you my Instagram, and in my bio on Instagram, you have the link directly to this recipe if you want to try. I'll go back to my little stories about when I come back from my groceries. So I put everything in glass jars or also in metal boxes, which will most probably last forever. Then I do some cooking. When it comes to cooking, I use only utensils which are either in metal, again, which will last forever. Am I back?
Yes, now you're back, but we lost you.
Oh,
yeah. Is your internet okay?
Well, I thought so. Can you see my presentation?
No, you need to reshare your screen.
Okay. Sorry for that.
No worries. In the meantime, I shared to everyone Laura's Instagram and also the mascara recipe.
Okay, great. Thank
so
you.
you can go and check it out.
Yeah. All right, so we're back. So we come now to the cleaning part. So for cleaning, also I use this kind of brushes made with coconut fiber. I use, again, coconut fiber sponges, and I use this liquid, which I make myself with sugar, lemon peels, and water. It's a fermentation process, which is called bioenzyme. It's a multi-purpose cleaner, and you can use it. I use it for everything at my place, and it's pretty much free. So I actually don't spend any money in cleaning products. And when it comes to washing, I just use either soap bars or natural detergent. So that's about it for my all the stuff that I use, my essentials, which I use on a daily basis. What are the benefits? So the benefits, there's three. They're environmental, obviously, because we generate less waste when we apply these 5 principles. So obviously there is less pollution. In terms of health, of course, it's much better because if we buy packet-free, as I told you, we don't buy products which are processed. It's not processed food. There's less chemicals, there's less preservatives, additives, etc. So when you buy packet-free, most of the food that you buy is much better for your health. And of course, also, as I mentioned earlier, it's also better for your mental health, because when you apply these 5 principles, you own less, you have less to worry, you have less to take care of. So it's kind of alleviating. And of course, financially, it's also interesting because, for instance, secondhand clothes are much cheaper. Buying in bulk, you don't have to, finance the packaging, so it's cheaper. The bioenzyme that I make, the mascara that I make, for instance, is so much cheaper. So you make a lot of savings. So now let's talk about you guys. How can you get started? So first of all, what I would advise you to do is to observe your waste. Check what comes back, what comes in your bin repetitively, and pick one item and change it. And like that, slowly and gradually make shifts in your life. Make them step by step. Avoid non-recyclables as much as possible, like straws, carry bags, and check at least if what you're choosing is recyclable. Focus on recyclables in the beginning, because as we said, it's a transition. So if you buy at least in recyclable packaging, it's easier to shift to a lower waste lifestyle. And most of all, start somewhere. It's very important to start somewhere, because once you're started, you're gonna make more and more changes, and whatever is gonna seem difficult also for you in the beginning, slowly is gonna become a habit, and that's what we want. A few easy first steps which I could suggest is to, first of all, use a reusable drinking bottle at work, at home, whenever you go out for a trip, when you go work out, etc. As I explained, you plan your shopping and take bags or containers with you accordingly, because paper bags, it's good to use, but still we need trees to make the paper bags, which you also will use just for a few minutes. And actually, the funny thing is that plastic bags have been invented to avoid that humans keep on cutting so many trees. So it's quite a funny story, but that's why we want to use less paper bags and prefer reusable bags. Also, you could, use nice reusable bags. Like, for instance, my reusable bags I find them nice and pretty, which encourages me to use them when I go shopping. And actually, these reusable bags, put them in your purse or in your car or in your bike so that you can have them close to you whenever you want to buy something or whenever you go to the store, even when it's not planned. And a last tip, which I find easy to change first, is soap and shampoos. There's a lot of choice in terms of soap bars and soap bars like shampoos. There's a lot of choice. They work great. They work as great as normal, like regular shampoos and shower gels. So this is also a switch which I would definitely recommend to start with. So as a conclusion, let me tell you the 5 principles one more time. So refuse, reduce, reuse, recycle, and rot. Start slowly, but just start somewhere and mostly do one change at the time. And if you have no inspiration, if you're not sure how to do, well, first of all, you can contact me, or you could ask your grandparents, because grandparents used to live without plastic. So they're great examples and great people to refer to because they know how they used to do it and how it's possible to do it. So ask them questions. All right, so we came now to the surprise time. So this surprise is actually that I offer to all of you a 50% discount on your first consultation with me to start your transition to reduce your waste. So it's a 1-hour conversation where you can ask me all your questions, express all your needs, etc. Needs, struggles. We can talk about it and find solutions together. This is worth $50. One session is $50. And what I usually do is that I offer customized plans with my clients. So you can, again, contact me either via email or via DM on Instagram or Facebook. And so we can schedule a first appointment where we can identify struggles and try to think about a few solutions and then make a customized pace of appointments where we can do check-ins and maybe move on together, move forward together. So now it's time for your questions. If you want, you can unmute yourself and just ask your questions, or just ask in the chat box.
Yeah, so Holly here asked a question about, does anyone have any good soap recipes? Maybe Laura, you have one. I replied saying that I would recommend to buy from small brands like Surprise or My Naked Bar in Singapore, because to make soap you need lye for the saponification. Or you can attend a soap workshop which I've done many times, and it's quite nice. Because they use a soap base that is already made with glycerin, I think. And then you can add your pigments, you can add your essential oils, all these things to make the soaps that you want. And it's quite a fun workshop to do as well. Laura, I don't know if you have other recommendations.
Yeah, the truth is, I personally have never tried making soap, but I have actually discovered something else in India, is that we don't necessarily need soap to clean our bodies and our hair. I discovered in India that we can actually use powders. And I have discovered that chickpea powder is amazing. So the way you do it, I mean, I've used it many times by now, is that you take some chickpea flour and you mix it with a little bit of water in a little container. It becomes a paste, and then you just like rub it on your skin like a scrub. And because the main thing that we want to do when we shower ourselves is that we want to remove the dead skins. The dead cells, sorry, the dead cells. So yeah, it does a great job. Like, it really gets your skin to be super smooth and soft. And so yeah, that's what I've tried to replace soap. So now I use a little mixture, because I must say sometimes I'm a little lazy to make the mixture, But yeah, it's fantastic. I really recommend it. And in India, you know, they put also like different powders with it, like flower powders, like I don't know, rose, or it can be also lemon powder, which also cleanses even more. But yeah, if you want, give it a try. You can also actually add 1 or 2 drops of essential oil in your paste, and then it smells good. But for sure, you know, it doesn't smell bad, or you don't smell like chickpeas or anything after that. You just have your like natural skin smell. I remember using this in my childhood days. Oh, that's amazing. So see, grandparents know best. I also think so. And if the skin is dry, one can add oil to chickpea flour or yogurt. Yes, absolutely. Any other questions?
Just to add on that, for the like DIY for skin, there's something that I like doing is to reuse the coffee grounds from my coffee. And this is more for scrub feeling. And then you can just add a bit of oil, like coconut oil or olive oil, and
Yeah.
a bit of brown, like coconut sugar if you have. And just mix it together, like one part, one part, one part. And then it's like, it feels really amazing on the skin. Like every time I do it, I feel like I'm in a spa afterwards. Like the result
Yeah.
is quite impressive.
Yeah, it's true. I also use the same scrub, and it's really amazing. And it smells quite nice also. I mean, coffee, I find it has a nice smell. So
Yeah. Maybe you can stop sharing your screen and we can turn on our cameras to take a picture, group picture before before we
sure.
end the talk.
Yeah.
Cool. And if other participants have anything they want to add or share, or maybe something they've tried that worked well, we are here to learn together. So please do. Laura, maybe you can stop sharing.
Well, I thought I did. Yeah.
Ah, yeah, cool. All right, let me put the gallery. Nice. Hi, everyone. It's nice to see you in person in the camera. So we have someone else in the chat, the furoshiki. That's holy. So what's about the furoshiki? Is it for the gift wrapping?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not just for gifts. Yeah, I lived in Japan for 7 years. My husband's Japanese, and it's used quite widely, especially in more rural areas. And the amazing thing about the furoshiki is it's usually cotton, and it's a square is the ideal shape, and it's really good for carrying large and bulky items. And you can actually put the knotted part over your shoulder. They're really convenient, actually, and I find them better than a large bag. But people laughed at me when I used it, but I still do.
Oh wow, that looks nice. That looks nice. Thank you for sharing this. Anyone else has a tip or a recipe that they want to share? Julia said, I don't remember if you talked about this, but reconditioned computers or phones are very good. I don't really like secondhand. Maybe I don't trust this enough. Technology products, so I buy reconditioned. That's quite good. Is there any platform, Julia, that you recommend for reconditioned products or technology? Back market.
Yeah. Are they international back market? I know them in France, but I don't know if they're, yeah, I think so. Okay. Nice. Yeah, I've never bought from back market. I actually didn't explain, but I've bought actually my computer from what is it? Le Bon Coin in France, which is like a secondhand platform. And I had checked actually back market also. But for my phones and my earpods, actually what happens is that, so my family members and friends, they upgrade their phones. So I actually inherit from the older versions. And like that, I get the phones for free. So I have 2 iPhones, and 2 iPhones I got for free because, yeah, people want to upgrade, and I'm fine with low, like, you know, more evolved versions. So that's also, you know, a possibility. Tell your friends and family that you're fine getting their, you know, older phones in good condition.
Yeah, I do the same. I also like my mom upgraded her phone, and because her old one had a broken screen, so I just took it, I repaired the screen, and now I use it. So
Yeah.
it's also possible to repair, like especially with like today a broken screen, all these things are easily repairable and they don't cost that much, and it's definitely cheaper than buying a new phone in the store.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. But again, that's how you know you save a lot of money with this kind when you apply these 5 principles, because yeah, secondhand, I mean, it's always so much cheaper. From the moment that someone has used the product and that you get it, it devaluates so much. So it's really a good deal to get secondhand. I mean, particularly nowadays, I mean, I just know about France, but in France, we have access to secondhand items which are in very good condition, like a way too good condition, I would say, even for being secondhand. And it's so much cheaper.
Mm.
So there's really, really good deals nowadays, I find.
Yeah, it's true, and it's not in another way. Also, I'm talking about more clothes, but there's a nice way to swap items. I don't know if any of you experienced this before or done it already, the swapping.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's also a nice way to get new things and also declutter and give a second chance to the clothes that you no longer wear.
Yeah.
Varsha said that we wrap presents in newspapers. Oh, nice. And let kids draw on them instead of buying fancy papers. That's a really good tip. Thank you, Varsha, for sharing. Yeah, especially when you have newspapers at home and you don't know what to do with them.
True. Actually, just back to about the clothes and the swapping, as you said, at my company, we started to organize such exchange sessions of clothes. So like once in a while, like maybe once every quarter, we bring all the clothes, books, accessories that we don't want anymore, and we just put them all on a big table in the office, and whoever wants stuff just takes, and yeah, it's really nice. Also because, you know, then we get to wear the clothes from each other, so it gives, I mean, I find in my company it gives a feeling of sisterhood, which I find very nice.
Yeah, true. I'm actually helping a client in a few weeks organize a big like general swap, and we got on board also a vendor for a fashion swap as well. But they're going to do like clothes and books and electronics as well.
Yeah. Yeah, electronics particularly are a very good idea because it's they're so not recyclable.
Yeah.
I mean, they are, but like very little, and not everything is recyclable in the technology. So it's so much better to give it to someone else.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, and if there's no more questions or tips, maybe we can just quickly turn on our cameras and let's take a final picture before we drop off. And I want to, okay, let's give them a few seconds. Gabby, Mark, hello. Julia, Vincent. She's outside. It's okay, Julia. It's very
I'm
cute.
outside right now, so I'll walk and
No worries,
yeah.
Mark. Julia, do you have the ability to turn it? Ah, you cannot. Okay, no worries, no worries. I will take quickly a snapshot. All right. 1, 2, 3. Cool. Thank you so much. I want to take this opportunity to thank everyone, especially Laure, for doing this really great presentation. I think we all learned a lot. And until next time, and if you're interested to continue with Laure and have a coaching session with her, I will send now an email to all of you with her details, her Instagram account, so you can reach out to her as well. And yeah, and continue your journey towards lower waste in your life.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Laure. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Bye.